All right. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. That stuff, because today is December 2023. For you people in the future. We're coming at you on a Saturday night, and it is approximately 6:14. So what we have here is going to be like the last big, great comic book haul of the year 2023. So greetings to all you people in the present, in the future. Hope you're spending time with family. Hope you're spending time with friends. Or the way I spent a bunch of Christmases and was just fine shooting pool, sitting around watching movies, maybe even pretending it's not even a holiday. There's nothing wrong with that. Take care of yourself. But anyway, after all that cheesiness is out of the way, if you're wanting to know what the YouTube online comic book news is after 9 years of ridiculous stuff going out there with a pretend war, culture war going on, we it's like we've come full circle. We have Ethan Van Sciver making videos and stirring the pot for Comicsgate. We have Mark Wade losing his mind out there. Disney is still making sucky movies and have lost a lot of money and blah blah blah. Max Faccio, diversity in comics, everybody doing the same thing, and this crap has been going on for years. So sit down, have a seat, and let's get back to what all of this really started with, and what it's all about, and what it's going to be about in the future, and what it's always been about in the past. For right now, in the present, we're going to talk about a great comic book haul. Great to see everybody. I see you got home safe. Yes, I did. How are you doing there, big man? Um, right here off the dot, which surprised me here, but went out today, got to whoop, there we go. Went out today, and I've left that bag upstairs. I have a bag upstairs I may run and go get here in a minute. Anyway, but went out today, went out of town about an hour out of town, met up with my buddy here, Josh, and stuff. We watched A24, the studio of A24, the great studio. Uh, we watched the Iron Claw, the Von Erichs movie, which was fantastic. Absolutely loved it. Had a little late lunch going on there, or early dinner, however you want to see. Came home and decided to shoot this video to show my haul. And I cannot believe I left a bag upstairs. So that may just have to be for the next one. It's not a big deal, right? But anyway, going on, we talked about some stuff going on while we were sitting there eating. We were talking about comics, the stuff that's been going on in the last month, the ridiculous of what's going on. Where could things be going? Where could things be ending? And what is the underground thing going on right now that has nothing to do with comics? It was a real nice, productive, even cathartic talk and stuff. What's up? Only two people watching. Everybody must be last minute shopping or out watching the Iron Claw, as they should be, right? As they should be, because it's that time of the season. I'm not going to be on here on Sunday morning for people that watch this and stuff, so I can rein this back in. Just to let everybody know, I'm doing this on a Saturday night. There is no rainy Sunday show in the morning because it's Christmas Eve tomorrow. I have things to do, people to be with, and that does take precedence as much as I love everybody out there and stuff, right? Anyway, and our numbers are going up as I've said that and stuff, right? Great to see everybody. Happy holidays watching from Logan Airport. Oh, I know what we're doing there, JLS Comics. Safe travels and happy holidays. Okay, so let's get into the comic book call now, because that's why we're all here. People are piling it up now in the future. That's enough stalling. So basically, we have a combination of a few things: some Amazon pickups, some pickups from a little honey pot of people I bought off for years at flea markets and indoor flea markets. They travel around, pop up everywhere, and a few other things, right? And like I said, I picked up a few books today, but that'll be in the next one. I'm not going to leave you guys to run upstairs and grab the bag, right? So we're going to start out slow. We're going to start out slow, right? And we're going to be consistent and slow, since we've gone over the ridiculous online YouTube comic book news that's going on and stuff like that. It's like we repeat it. It's like the stuff that I mentioned before about Mark Wade apparently has lost his mind again. Ethan Van Sciver is making videos again, talking about Comicsgate, pushing books, doing all this stuff. It's we're back in 2018, starting all over again. Only person we need to pop up is Dan Slott, and the trifecta will be complete. So let's move on and talk about comics and stuff, right? I can joke and talk about that stuff later, maybe in another stream. So I was during my Christmas shopping and my travels and going and seeing Christmas lights and stuff with the family and riding around and drinking hot chocolate and trying to be all festive and make it feel like Christmas. I stopped in an Ollie's outlet, and they have a thing where you'll get these mystery packs. They'll pack comics in. They have five. What is it? Five for, I think it was 6 books, 5 books for $6. You can see the front and the back. And I put it out in the universe. I just sort of wanted this. I have a thing about 80s movies and 90s movies and comic book adaptations of movies and things like that. And one of my favorite movies is Star Trek II Wrath of Khan. To me, you don't have to be a Star Trek aficionado. That is a great film. That's the one you can take out of the genre. Then that was in 1982, and then in 1984 they came out with one that actually felt like 1984. Okay, you had to be there, right? I would say that the aesthetics of the movie and the colors and things, a great movie. I love the movie. I actually have watched it twice in the last 3 months as I've laid and tried to go to sleep with Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. And all of a sudden, I just felt like about a month ago, I was like, I'd like to get that comic adaptation stuff, right? And lo and behold, it was in the mystery pack that I got at Ollie's, which is why I bought this, right? Yes, that is I think it is is it a Sienkiewicz? It's not a Sienkiewicz cover. I don't recognize that signature here. But this, of course, is from 1984. Tom Sutton is doing the art, the adaptation is by Mike W. Barr. And it's just a straight up storytelling of a comic book telling through story, as I was saying, of Star Trek 3. So if you like it, you like it. If you love it, you love it. If you don't, you don't. But I get nostalgic, right? I mean, as a kid of the 70s and then actually growing up into an adult from 80 to 91 and then going into my more adult years throughout the 90s and stuff, I'm really able to compartmentalize and sort of track my life through what was going on with movies and comics and music and when we got cable and what was going on with wrestling and stuff, right? Just part of that memory. Some other books that I'll just kind of go through real quick in this Ollie's pack. This was $6. I've never heard of this book, but it's called Origins, #2 of 6, apparently through Boom Studios. Chapman, Rebelka, and that seems to be about it. I don't know. I don't know if this is something I'm going to get into or not. I will check it out because it's in my collection, but I have not cataloged it because I probably won't keep it. This was a cool find. This was by Adam Hughes. I remember a whole bunch of covers came out. He wrote and draw this. And of course, Adam Hughes is of that lot of like Dave Stevens and stuff, great pinup artists and things like that. But this is not a Dave Stevens cover, or Dave Stevens. This is not an Adam Hughes cover, but this is Betty and Veronica, written and drawn by Adam Hughes, if you're into that. And apparently, this is a New Dimension Comics, Kennywood, Riverscon, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania exclusive. So if anybody knows anything about that, feel free to put them in the comments. If not, I'm honestly not that worried about it, So, but what's really cool is if you like Adam Hughes, this is Adam Hughes through and through, drawing Betty and Veronica from the Archie groups, if you will, right? I think Archie has done a very good job of expanding, basically over the last 10 years, of what they've done with Archie Afterlife, some of the making them kind of grow up, doing the setting again. I don't know about Riverdale. I tried to get into Riverdale, but you get your, like I said, you have your headlights by Adam Hughes in here if you want, still keeping it tasteful there. So, yeah, he played to his strengths, and it's great to see him do a little bit of writing and stuff, right? So there you go, right? And I don't know about you Power Ranger guys, right? But I was 20 years old when the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers debuted on Fox Saturday mornings back in 1993, and I was so on board, okay? So on board. The little bit of manga, a little bit of anime that I was able to see, the toys of the Shogun Warriors, things like that, the Transformers, Mighty Autobots. I can go on and on. More I think about it, Battle of the Planets and stuff. And of course the Bruce Lee movies, the kaiju movies, when we just called them Godzilla movies and things like that. I was on board. I loved the live action stuff from when I was a kid. That was, of course, in reruns like from Sid and Marty Krofft. To trade that in for things like Prior Place and oh my God, what was it? Oh man, Zach and Tiffany Thiessen and stuff. How come you wake up in the morning? Anyway, want to move on and stuff, right? But when I saw the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and saw what they were doing with it, it was fantastic. I thought it was really cool. So it really kind of it really sort of was weird for me to see every season they sort of changed them around. Little did I know that in Japan, most of their shows are one season and they'll just reinvent them. Like there's a ton of Ultramen and stuff like that, right? Um, anyway. So anyway, there's an issue of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in here. Shattered Grid at #1 by Kyle Higgins with the Pink Ranger on here. To me, that first season is the season. All the other stuff that came after it, and you like it, you love it. And what's very wild is in my time, I've had about 3 people who are part of bigger communities where all they do is collect Power Ranger stuff. That's it, just Power Ranger stuff, and they love it. I actually seen one house back in the 2000s where one whole room, much like our comic book rooms and things like that, was dedicated to Power Ranger stuff. And I did not realize there was that much out there, especially in America, that had been manufactured of Power Rangers to fill a room that was probably a third bigger than the room I'm sitting in. Really surprised me. Cancel pigs. Yes, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, Mark Miller. Mark Miller has come out and has done a few things. Comic Book Castle has come out, and he has repeated things that I've heard for 6 or 7 years. My thing that I'm just pointing out is that it feels like we're on repeat now. This stuff, culture war, has gone online for so long that we are now, starting from the beginning again is what it feels like. Yeah. What do we got here? Oh, Tim would go to comic shows and yell "con." That's right. I would, Mr. Breen. Marvel comic adaptions, mostly unsatisfying. Yet I have a soft spot for them. I just do. Okay. It's called the Great Super Sentai. Nice, nice. Saved by the Bell. There you go. What can I say? We're going to get, what can I say? It's the holidays, in the fantastic movie I watched today of the Iron Claw for you Von Erich fans out there. That was a fantastic movie. I'm still on a high from it. It was great. An Easy Comic Reader is here. Fantastic, right? Okay, so one more book that was in that great Ollie's Hall there is this X-Men of War #12 from, I guess, what is or was Valiant Comics. This has got to be older for them to be on #12. I'm going to go with 2000. I'm going to go with about, let's say 2018. Okay. So when it comes to the Valiant stuff, I will check this out. But of course, my standard is the first year of the Valiant universe proper, when Jim Shooter was taking, the reins there and running things and steering and guiding and writing a bunch of the books, all the way through Unity and stuff. So yeah, there you go. Okay, so this all was $5 before we get to the new books from my G-Mart comic haul, right? We're just moving right along, guys. And this is from a little honeypot that I have of people who will sell at malls. They'll sell at flea markets, indoor flea markets. I run into them. I've been buying off them for years now. So I will find 7 to 20 comics, and I will always get a deal, like 7 comics for $5. But the biggest thing is that the lady that I buy off of, when she has a box of trade paperbacks, they are also $1. She treats them all the same as comics. So what I have here is Tim's almost has finally gone into the 2020s here with some actual new stuff and books outside of the big two, the shrinking of the big two, if you will. But anyway, this is Something is Killing the Children, which this is volumes 1 and 2. So yeah, again, I feel like I'm doing the Immortal Hulk thing again. I know people know this book. I know the first issue is hot. I've heard smatterings and talks and whispers and stuff of this book. And that's about as far as it's gone. It seems like it was super hot there for a while. Is it still hot now? Who knows? I don't know, right? So I went ahead and these are like in brand new condition, $1 a piece. Like I said, $5 for the whole thing for 7 books. This is 2 of them. And I got to say, I was curious just enough to where when I bought some extra presents on Amazon, went ahead and got volume #1 for $10. You can see I'm already started reading it. And I hate when I order soft cover books from Amazon because they put everything in the same size box. They'll throw in some inflated balloons in there and they just send it out, and it never fails. If you get a soft cover book off of Amazon, with my experience, 10 out of 10 times it comes back looking like that. Do you see that? This is brand new. This is not a library edition. This is not a, whatever. So anyway, look, $10. I won't say that it's shot. Maybe I can work on it, but I'm definitely not going to get the creases and dog ears out of it and stuff, right? So yeah, we're reading something that's killing the children. We are going to have an open mind and keep it directly. Um, if it's good, it's good. So far, it's reading a little bit like a Netflix pitch. So we still have a long way to go to see if I'm wrong. The other thing that I got off of Amazon with this haul was basically something that I was like, I'm going to get around to reading that. And now here we are. And I want to say that we were somewhere between, I don't know, 10 to 11, possibly 12 years of never getting around to it. So I finally got it. So basically, the story behind the book is there was a couple things going on. If you remember Wednesday Comics back in the late 2000s and stuff, Ryan Sook and I cannot remember who's writing off the top of my head had a strip going through it of Commandy. Wednesday Comics was where they had a sort of a stunt event where you actually got a newspaper from DC, and it was newsprint newspaper. I have some around here somewhere, and it came out weekly, I think. And they had strips going by with popular characters. You had Mike Allred, Laura Allred on Metamorpho. You had Ryan Sook and someone doing a Commandy, and so on and so forth. Right? They eventually did an oversized traded edition. So because of that, if I remember this right, there was two pitches for Commandy going on. One was by Kurt Busiek, where he threw out a Commandy pitch, and they're like, "We got somebody working on that," right? So that ended up becoming Autumn Lands / Tooth and Nail. Okay. And he took it to Image or somewhere and they put it out. He changed things to where it wasn't Command anymore, but with a wink and a nod, you know what it is. And the other one was by Paul Pope. And they were like, no, you can't do that. And he was still on that high, I guess, with a lot of people from Batman Year 100. And Paul Pope is an interesting dude when it comes to his work, right? I know for a fact a ton of people that never had heard of Paul Pope until Batman Year 100. Yet every now and then I would run to somebody that was like, I was into his stuff in the 90s. I'm not saying that it's not possible that you were into his stuff in the 90s, but I was in a lot of circles to where like my bullshit meter was flipping out like, oh, come on. Anyway, people for like a decade and a half or, a little bit longer, you know what they, I remember the conversations. So anyway, he took what was going to be his Commandy pitch and he turned it into Battling Boy. So I was always like, I'll get around to getting this. Well, I finally got around to getting this little hard cover. This is the dust jacket. And I got to tell you, I'm a few pages into this one. And I'm liking what I'm seeing. I really do. It's dystopian. Battling Boy seems to be birthed from a god, if you will. And I really like it. It does have that young adult feel. It probably is a young adult book written wise, but it opens up with a couple of kids playing soccer in like a really rundown part of town. It looks like you start realizing something's happened to this world. It's more dystopian, it feels, than rundown. And they tell the kid, you better hurry up. Curfew's almost here. Go get the ball. And he's sort of scared, but he goes. And then the street light comes on. My generation and probably generations of people here, that's when you knew it was time to go home. You would go out early in the morning, you would come home when the street lights came on, right? So as soon as those street lights come on, these monsters of some sort start jumping down, chasing the kids. So yeah, very cool setup, right? A little good world building there, right? So I'm never going to be one of those guys that's crazy about Paul Pope, but I'm also one of those guys that's not going to avoid his stuff. You know what I mean? The guy seems to be an artist in my eyes. Like you can kind of tell that whatever he's working on is going to be different. He doesn't repeat himself. That's what I'm trying to get at. All right, what do we got here? Cycles. That means we should be getting a new Marvel Milkshake Squad soon. They turn 30 and the new group has to come in. Trade paperbacks for the price of used comics. I'll buy that for $1. Yeah, I'll try anything experimental for that and stuff. That's a great price. Now going back, I might as well finish out that haul. I skipped around there. Just jump to the Amazon stuff, obviously. But I got the Best of Negative Burn, and these are a bunch of short stories and cartoon strips and things. But I picked these up at Negative Burn. It's a series of books that lasted for a while, but what they had were the people that come on and worked on this book back in the day, right? This has Mark Baudet. This also has, oh my goodness, where did he go? Tony Harris, Phil Hester. Where's the big name? Paul Pope is in this one. Tim Petty, not Tom Petty. I just think that's funny. Terry Moore. Terry Moore adapting an Alan Moore song, visually. And I swear I thought this had someone else here. Let me look real quick. There's somebody else here. Peter David's on it. Brian Boland, that's the one. We have some Brian Boland stuff in this. And basically, this is from Caliber Comics, and it can be considered indie, right? Haven't heard of it? That's okay, because a lot of the stuff is not that great. It's kind of like you don't like this little strip, this little short story, turn the page. You'll like the next one, right? And I'm doing a little thing here, right? I'm going back to the 80s, 1988 to be specifically. And like I said, we're back onto the 7 books for $5 here. But anyway, this is from 1988, and this was when the millennium was going on. You had Crisis on Infinite Earths, right? And then you had Legends, and then Steve Englehart. They went sort of Guardians of the Universe / Green Lantern centric, right? And they had a weekly comic come out by Steve Englehart and Joe Staton called Millennium, because the Guardians were going to go with the Zamorans and disappear, but they had to leave some new Guardians behind, and it was a whatever. But they made it try to feel like an event, and there was secret. You all these books and groups and people in their lives. You had a manhunter. You had a manhunter somewhere infiltrating your life and stuff, right? But they came out with 3 or 4 books here. I think it was 4 books: Spectre, Detective Comics, Captain Atom, and Suicide Squad, where they're all taking place on the covers, at least in the swamp, and they loosely connect. So I should have all of these, I do believe. But the fun is I got to find the other 2 books somewhere in all these boxes. So hopefully I'll be able to find them and get them together and stuff, right? And then this is one of those favorite books of mine. I could not find this forever, and this is one of those books where you were in the know or you weren't, or you were one of those people. And these are the people I've run across over the years, right? Not saying this is the standard all across the comic book comic book collectors or not, right? But this is Captain Atom number 42, and this ended up being a key because what happened was is Captain Atom dies, and as he dies, we're with him in sort of this limbo afterlife, if you will. And the writer Cary Bates, I believe, came in and he put in a lot of characters who were aspects of death. We got the Black Racer, of course. He's in the boat looking like he's going down the river Styx, if you will, with these characters. And this was the first time that the Neil Gaiman death, our Mary Poppins of the Endless, appears in the DC universe. All right, with him. Now, this was a time where there was like sort of a gentleman's agreement, if you will, that if these characters are used, Neil will be asked. And if Neil says no, then no, it is. But Neil didn't really have a problem at all with not being asked. He had a problem where his death was treated like she was just an aspect of death. He's like, no, he's death. So yeah, this is after years of not being able to find one of these, or years of coming across them on eBay or other places, and people knew what they had. I've seen this thing be a $30 to $45 book. What a book's for now, who knows? I don't know. But this is my 3rd one this year, so happy, yeah, good year. And then Star Wars Tales. This came out in the 2000s. This is an anthology series where you have a bunch of different creators come on. They get different different number of pages in each one. But anyway, you get 3, 4, 5 stories in here that take place in the Star Wars, in this Dark Horse Star Wars, right? Out of all the books I've read, from Dark Horse, from Marvel back in the day, even the current stuff. It is probably just because of the variety. You could have serious stories. You had Garth Ennis come on some of these. You had funny stories. One of my favorite stories is where, due to Sam Jackson playing Mace Windu, and he was in Pulp Fiction, they sort of had a diner scene, with Mace Windu referencing some Pulp Fiction stuff, playing around with it. But anyway, this is Star Wars Tales number 23. It is a key book because there is the first appearance of a couple characters, whoever, right? But yeah, these Star Wars Tales, they are square bound. I love this series. I always pick them up when I see them, right? And then I've had this before, right? In the 90s, building up to Superman's 60th anniversary or whatever was going on, Basically, we got this generic for Dan Jurgens. If you read his Justice League around the Doomsday time, he brought in a character named Bloodwind, who had the same kind of costume, if you will, with the mask and everything. But Superman ended up having electrical powers, and they turned this into a Superman Blue, Superman Red, and Grant Morrison was bringing back the Justice League, the pantheon, of superheroes, if you will, bringing them back proper and stuff. And we got stuck with this costume. And of course, I'm pretty sure around about a year later, we got Superman back in you know, the costume and everything. And I have one of these. And this is actually sort of a little bit of a key. Some people have dug this because it was the first appearance of the Superman blue costume, right? But if you go to my Instagram and swipe around and stuff like that, I've had one of these for a while. But what I didn't know is when I turned off the light to go to bed after buying this and stuff, this cover glows in the dark. Yeah, this is a glow in the dark cover. I had no idea, but it was very cool. All right. So what do we have? Yeah. So I ended up hitting Bristol. I don't know if it was last weekend or a few weekends ago. And we're gonna go through these pretty quick, but with the comic book box I bought, this came to $10. So we have whatever a comic book box was, whatever these were. And I didn't even really haggle for these. I just said, I have a $10 bill. I'm taking this box and these books. Are we good? He said, we're good. Handed him the cash, right? So I've told people for years, and I have the one I actually bought. Okay, this is from a comic book shop in Bristol, Virginia, Mountain Empire Comics, right? And it cracked me up when I saw this. But you're like, Tim, that's a TV guide with two of the worst characters from Star Trek Voyager ever. And I'm like, have a heart. But anyway, this is a stellar summer sci-fi issue. I want to say this is 1995, but as you can see, there's a X-Files exclusive in this, right? So Topps Comics came out with the X-Files book, right? Comic. At the time, I just there's so many books out, so much stuff going on. I just sort of overlooked it despite being a huge X-Files fan. I am actually one of the people, whether it made a difference or not, that actually I was living in a place called Coburn, Virginia in 1993 with a girl from Texas. And I got to see X Files come on, and it was canceled, guys. A lot of people forget that. Maybe 6 episodes in, they canceled it. And I actually was able to write a letter to a TV station across the state border into Kentucky saying, bring it back. So little did I know that there was actually a letter campaign going on that I had no clue about, that I found out I participated in years later. So anyway, people have thought that the Topps comic #1 was the first appearance of X-Files in comics. No, it is in this TV guide. So now I have the one I bought in the day, and I have this one that I got that was originally priced for $3 and stuff, right? Big conversation starter. That's cool, right? And then there was 25 issues of this glorious book. I have recently found out that Walter Simonson is 77 years old, people. 77. I know his first comic work that I'm aware of came out in 1973, which means he was 27 when that came out. This guy's career didn't really take off until he was really like close to 40. I mean, he got awards and everything for Manhunter, but I'm pretty sure he had some published stuff before that. Don't get me wrong. But that just blows my mind. I actually thought he was in his 60s, which amazes me. So this means he was in his 50s when he was doing Orion, 25 issues. Meanwhile, John Byrne at the time was doing the Jack Kirby Fourth World Series. That's going on, and I'm trying to finish collecting those, right? So, yeah, Walt Simonson doing Jack Kirby's New God, and this was a perfect fit. These books are fantastic with what he's doing. He was a fan of Kirby from the first time he saw the art. He wasn't one of those people who had to come around to it. He saw it, he loved it. And I also found out as I was looking at Walt Simonson, what he had done with some of his career, when I found out that he was 10 years older than I thought. That a lot of his Thor stuff. This is just random stuff coming to my head, guys. Sorry, this is what happens when I talk comics. But I read about how he actually started writing Thor stories in the 60s when he was still a fan. And when he got the Thor book proper in the 80s, his second run on it, actually became the writer. He was using the stories he had wrote in the 60s to get it started. I was like, my God, that man was meant for comics. And then this is the Haron Ellison Dream Quarter. This is #5. There were 5 issues of this through Dark Horse Comics in the 90s. Ray Bradbury, Harlan Ellison, anything that's an adaptation or directly with them. I will buy it. And what's cool about this book is that Ray Bradbury does appear in the books as sort of your host, if you will, a little callback. Ray Bradbury is one of us, right? He still has his comics that he bought in the 40s, 30s, 40s. Well, when he was alive. Sorry, you can get on. Am I thinking? Yeah, Haron Ellison. You can get on YouTube and find some stuff from the 90s of Haron Ellison talking about comics, and he actually shows his shelves and stuff of the comics he had and why they're permanent. Should have brought some water. All right, so now, guys, we are down. Oh yeah, and I got this book for free if anybody knows about it. This is Beyond Real #1. Our comic book shop owner told me he was giving this to me for free because he can't put it out to sell because it has boobies in it. And I did flip through it, not just to go directly to the boobies, but they are, pretty badly drawn boobies. If anything, I think the exposure of the bad boobies would have been more detrimental if they had just been pretty boobies. But boobies are boobies, and who knows? Who knows? Okay, John C is here. Great to see you. Oh, Merry Christmas to you too, sir. Paulo Costa, our international man of comics. Some of the Millennium crossovers are pretty good, especially the Booster Gold ones. Oh, Paulo, you blindsided me, sir. I got to keep it together. Keep it together. Throwing Booster Gold at me. Oh my God. Got me. You got me, sir. You got me live. Best use of electric Superman powers was in JLA. He pulled the moon back into orbit by its gravity. Nice. And Grant Morrison, actually, somewhere, and I'm pretty sure it's a wizard, talked about some of the ideas he had and the images in his head. He had the idea of Superman pulling the earth with the chain on him, which isn't a new concept. He had that in his head. So that's where Grant Morrison had a few comments about the blue costume coming in. Grant Morrison also made he took time to have a few panels there to show when Superman showed back up in the JLA book in his blue and red outfit. He took he let Superman make an entrance, if you will, in the book. He was so happy that was back. Alien book by Godwin and Simonson was awesome. That's one of the next things that I'm out to get. I've seen it. I've seen pages from it. I do believe I've seen it in a friend's collection. I've read it. It's what I'm trying to get at. It's time for it to be in my collection. You're absolutely right. And here we go. Boobies. And you know what? If I was smart, if I wanted to really get the clicks, I probably would just wipe out everything I have in the title of this live stream and just put boobies. I bet you anything I would get 10 times more clicks at least, right? Okay, good to see you guys, right? We're just moving right along. Now, here we are, guys. The stuff that I'm going to show you, these are books of 2023, okay? These are the G-Mart books, a comic book shop in Chicago that I have bought off of since 2001, I believe. 2001, 2002, give or take, right? They accumulate to $85, and then you get free shipping. They send them in. Also, what I like is on the back of this. Where is it at? You see this piece of paper? That is the title of the books that came in that pack with the date that they actually entered the comic book shop. I keep those for reference. I'm one of those guys, right? So anyway, I think this was like my second or third haul, and a lot of these books came in super late. All right, from the previous months of 2023. So they finally accumulated. They sent them to me. I got them last Thursday. And then all of a sudden I went back in and double checked my pre-orders for February, and I looked in there and a lot more books came in. I now have $50 built up in 2 weeks since they processed these books. So when it rains, it pours. Yes, I'm not spending all that money at once. This is how comics apparently have been. Whatever's going on out there, there's a ton of stuff late. So we're going to start out with Tomorrow's Publishing. It was a rough year for me in several ways because it really blows my mind how sometimes we have comic book creators that I personally grew up with. They caught my eye. They enriched my youth. There's people like Charles Schultz. There's even actors every now and then, like Christopher Reeves and stuff, that when they pass, I have to really ask, why is this affecting me so much? And we had 2 this year, right? I knew one was going to get me from the get go because we knew it was coming. It was George Perez, but the other person is Tom Palmer, who thankfully I got to meet back in 2017 or 18. Had a fantastic talk with him. Got to talk art with him. Told him how his inking style made me start noticing other inking styles and techniques and really work on black and white art and stuff since I was a kid. Told him the books that did it for me. And he looked at his handler and said, "This man will get no charge for signatures." And Charlton 66 was there, took some pictures of me talking to Tom Palmer, and I have him somewhere and stuff, right? So we have this alter ego Tom Palmer tribute issue where we see some of his art, a few articles, and a lot of stuff where the people he's worked with over the years talk about him, right? Fantastic man. When I met him, he was that old school 50s, 60s. I just like those the guys from that era. You know what I'm saying? I really connect with them, and there's times I wish I could have been from that era myself, to a certain extent, right? And then of course we had George Perez. That one hurt, so we got the back issues tribute to him, right? And I've really got to do better because I think it seems like most of the alter ego issues that I get are someone like I had the John Buscema tribute issue and stuff like that, right? So this one is fantastic. A lot of stuff in here. I count down to some of George's greatest work and characters, things he's just worked on. And I mean, I just sit there and just flip through this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It was fantastic. Oh, Eric Brain, a little decorum, Jackson, please. So yeah, that's in response to boobies. Okay. All right. So one of the books that one of the guys that maybe it's the energy level that he has. Maybe he's gotten a little disillusioned with comics. I don't know what's going on, right? But Jeff Johns is one of those guys. He's around the same age I am. He and Brad Meltzer and a few of his buddies and stuff like that all sort of grew up reading comics around the same time that I did. They've actually had stuff in their books. Jeff Johns has actually put stuff in his books that I remember being in fourth grade and being on the back of the bus, and we were talking about what about this and what about that. And I've seen some of that stuff end up in the books, like the color spectrum of the Green Lanterns and stuff, right? So to me, it's just the era and the things we were reading and the what ifs, right? And plus, he's wrote some great stuff. One of the greatest JSA runs ever. You know what I mean? Things like that. So he's got some great stuff. And then it just sort of seems like he went on this I want to be Alan Moore and I want to tap into Alan Moore stuff. And the Three Jokers was a misfire in my hand, and Doomsday Clock. I think there was some stuff behind the scenes that probably messed up where he was going with it. On and on and on, right? But maybe he's back around on his way here. I don't have all my Jeff. Let me get all these together. I got some Jeff John stuff here, right? But on top of this, I've always been an Earth 2 fan since I was a kid. And I'm getting a message here, guys. Sorry. I can check that later. But I've always been an Earth 2 guy, even though Crisis on Infinite Earths happened when I was 12 and I was there following that from month to month and everything like that. It's still Earth 2 to me, guys. That's all I got to say, right? So anyway, Jeff Johns comes back again after doing some stuff at Image, and he's probably still doing it. Who knows and stuff, right? But he's come back, and it's taken forever for this book to come out. But he's come out with what's supposed to be, I think, 12 issues of Justice Society. This is number 7 and number 8. Just to kind of let you know, let's see what the dates are on this. So this is September 4th, number 6. And number 7, I do not see a date, but this came out way after, right? This book should have already been done and completed. So every issue is just taking forever to come out, right? So gorgeous covers, and we have a lot of, I don't know, I think it's Huntress going back and forth in time, if you will, during different incarnations of the Justice Society, and there's a mystery going on and a lot of action, and let's change all this stuff. But at the same time, he started out with a miniseries that has come, gone, and been in trade that started around the same time as this Justice Society book, right? If you're following me, right? And this is Stargirl, The Lost Children, where we find out that all of those World War II heroes, if this shows up, has sidekicks that history has forgotten. Now, if that sounds familiar to you, it's because Dan Slott, for some reason, has decided to use the same concept for Spider Boy and Spider Man. Spider Man has a sidekick that the world has forgot, including him, and it was here first, guys. So you know, publication dates just can lead to everything. So this is the trade of that kind of ties into whatever's going on with this Justice Society. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and start reading those instead of waiting for all the issues of that Justice Society run to come out because it is slow and late, right? So, as a precedent here of me checking out modern comics, because it's always a risk for me, right? It is always a risk because there's always something stupid in there that seems to pop up, or it just doesn't deliver for reasons, right? So I went ahead and I took a chance. I've been hearing people say that this is the best book. I think Breen is here. Breen may have been the first one I heard that World's Finest by DC is the best book being put out by DC right now, and it's by Mark Waid. So Mark Waid has returned to Kingdom Come, which blows my mind that that is 27 years old. Is that right? Anyway, so we have Superman and Batman ending up there, and they've got, and I've read the first part of this arc already. I think this is part two, and I was a little underwhelmed. I'm like, oh man, right? Now, one of the things that kind of bothers me online, and I don't think it's Mark Waid's fault, is over time, people have been like, God, Mark Waid, you blew us away with Kingdom Come. You blew us away and stuff, right? I have interviews in Wizards magazines and other things, I'm sure, where Kingdom Come was Alex Ross's baby, right? Mark Waid was brought in to help structure and guide it and bounce ideas off of what Alex Ross wanted to do, why this would work, why this shouldn't work. Here's a little trivia you may not have known, right? So yes, Mark Waid was a partner in Kingdom Come, but by no means should he be getting 100% of the credit for writing it. That really bothers me, right? And I think there's been a few books that come All right, guys, can you see me now? Am I still there? It has froze on my computer, so I have jumped on the phone, and hopefully you guys can see me now. But anyway, we're going to finish it up like this, and we'll see what happens because at least I am froze, looking very debonair. So anyway, we were talking here. Paulo Costas said something here. Anyone who's ever read a single issue of Marvel Team Up knows that Spider-Man remembers every superhero mini he's ever had. Clearly, Dan Slott never read Marvel Team Up. Got you. And yes, Paulo, I'm here, so hopefully you guys can see me. I will answer that in a minute. Okay. So basically, what we have here now is we have this book, right? Is this going to be worth going through? Awesome. Let me get this out of the way. So anyway, see if we can close that. So anyway, what we have here is we have Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong. And I know that's not going to show up great, but it's a great painted wraparound cover. I'm very interested to see what's going on with that. I just got the first issue or two because I will be getting it on trade. But I also got this variant cover that's Wonder Woman as part of this MonsterVerse, and it also is a wraparound cover. So that's good stuff, right? Now, there are two books that came up that goes back to Earth 2, okay, again, but it's not Earth 2. These are just heroes with ties to World War II now. But, I did not get that awful, and we knew it was going to be awful, Tim Sheridan Green Lantern book of Alan Scott. But I'm going to give this one a chance. This is a Sandman miniseries coming out with Wesley Dodds, the Golden Age Sandman. I've been reading the Vertigo Sandman Theater for years and thought it was fantastic. So I got the first two issues of that, which was great, which I'm very excited about. And then here we go. We have Ronin, right? This is book 2 of Frank Miller's Ronin with Philip Tan doing the art. 40 years after the other one came out, the original that he did, that was just fantastic. If you could read it. Now, someone on the line of me ordering these books through G-Mart, I missed number 5. I think there's going to be like 6 or 7 of them. I don't really know. But I missed number 5. So when I was at the comic book shop, I was like, where's number 5? He was like, I don't have them on the shelf. Nobody's buying them. So say what you will about that. Here's another one. This is number 3. So yeah, I have been enjoying Ronin books, because they are out there. They are not for everybody. And then here's a book that I wanted to talk about. Maybe I'll do another live stream and stuff, but to let you know, some of us have waited 30 years for the rest of the Miracle Man books that originally started out at Eclipse with Alan Moore and then Neil Gaiman. Eclipse went out of business, and Marvel picked up almost 10 years ago, had picked up the books to go ahead and finally get them out. And here we are in 2023, waiting for the last issue. To let you know why the last issue was number 24, I think, of the Eclipse run, and that was during this story arc. We've gotten 3 or 4 issues so far, but there's one more. It's going to be number 7. Legacy-wise, it's number 29. And to let you know how late it is, it was supposed to come back in May of 2023. All right. And then a book I'm very excited about, Boom Studios came out with this. This is a favorite of mine. One of the first videos I did on YouTube talking about adult cartoons that I grew up watching and still watch was this Ralph Bakshi, Frank Frazetta collaboration of Fire and Ice with a rotoscope, and Frank Frazetta out there helping to direct doing all the designs and directing the actors and showing up the stuntmen and stuff, right? Well, they got Bill Willingham to come in and do a mini series. What is this? Oh, it's a blank variant cover. And of course, I've decided to go out here and get every one of them, so these are all the variant covers and whatnot, right? Another thing I'm very glad to get was issue number 1 of this to check out, but this is from Dynamite Comics, but Alice Cooper has another comic out, if you will. So we got that with the Photoshop cover. And then I just had to get this. There's 2 of these books This is part 1 of 2. I did not order number 2. I want to check it out first. We have Svengoolie uh, with a EC Comics inspired cover here from Me TV. I cannot remember what company is doing this for them. It's Frank Miller Presents. Well done on them. So yes, Svengoolie, if you have Me TV or know what a horror host is out there and everything like that, that was good. So I'm going to call it a day. We had technical difficulties. I don't. Hopefully you weren't just standing there watching me think and try to figure it out. It's all frozen on my end. But everybody have a great Christmas. Thanks a lot. And I may do another live stream just for the G-Mart books because that's where it happened. So later, guys. Thanks a lot.